Imagine you're at the airport, buzzing for a trip that could change your life, clutching your boarding pass like it's a golden ticket. Then, out of nowhere, someone demands your seat not because of a mistake, but because they think they're above you. A bold young woman, her determined brother, a smug elite passenger, and a flight crew scrambling to please the wrong person. One text message later, the whole flight flips upside down. Secrets unravel, power shifts, and justice lands harder than a Midwest storm. This isn't just a story, it's a real-life drama that'll leave you speechless. Stick around, because what happens next will have you hooked. Alyssa Carter, a 21-year-old vlogger with a quick smile and a knack for storytelling, stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows at Chicago O'Hare International Airport, her camera bag slung over her shoulder. The July sun blazed across the tarmac, where planes glinted like they were ready to chase the horizon. Her younger brother, Ethan, 18, and an aspiring DJ, leaned against a pillar, his backpack at his feet, earbuds dangling from one ear. Alyssa's dark curls were pulled into a messy bun, her hazel eyes scanning the terminal's chaos. "Austin's gonna be wild, Ethan," she said, adjusting her lens. "South by Southwest, your DJ battle. My vlog, our channel's about to pop off." Ethan smirked, his nerves showing through his cool guy vibe. "If I don't bomb on stage, you're filming everything, right?" Alyssa grinned, patting her camera. "Every second, bro. AlyssaAdventures is going viral this week." Their dad, David Carter, was a quiet businessman who'd always pushed them to chase their dreams, but kept his own success under wraps. Alyssa and Ethan knew he had some sway in the travel world, probably from racking up frequent flyer miles, but he never made a big deal of it. David was the type to blend in, not boast, and his kids grew up squeezing into economy seats, navigating airports like seasoned pros. What they didn't know was that David was the majority shareholder of StarJet Airlines, a heavyweight in the U.S. market. His influence ran deep, but he'd kept it hush, wanting Alyssa and Ethan to carve their own paths without his name paving the way. Today, though, they were riding high. StarJet had scored them business class seats for their flight to Austin, a rare treat they figured was a perk from their dad's loyalty points. Alyssa was pumped to film the whole journey South by Southwest. The music festival that pulled in thousands was the perfect stage for her YouTube channel, AlyssaAdventures. Ethan had landed a spot in the festival's DJ battle, a shot to spin for industry bigwigs. As they cut through O'Hare's crowded terminal, Alyssa's camera was already rolling, catching the blur of travelers, the drone of overhead announcements, and Ethan's fidgety energy. "Here we go, folks," she narrated under her breath. "Chicago to Austin, business class dreams, and my brother's about to own the decks." O'Hare was a madhouse, parents wrangling kids, suits barking into Bluetooths, and college students lugging overstuffed backpacks. Alyssa and Ethan sailed through security, their boarding passes flashing green at the scanner. Gate B22, their gateway to Austin, was a sea of passengers, a family with matching SXSW shirts, a guy in a Stetson hat scrolling his phone, and a pack of festival-goers swapping vape pens. Alyssa's vlogger instincts kicked in, her eyes darting across the crowd. She caught a few stares, some curious, others sharper. Growing up black in a Chicago suburb, she'd learned to read those looks, the ones that lingered a beat too long. She shook it off, focusing on the moment. "This trip's gonna be fire," she told Ethan, who was mentally running through his set list. Ethan nudged her, his voice low. "You think Dad's gonna crash the festival?" He was super cagey about his plans. Alyssa chuckled, tweaking her camera settings. "Classic dad move. Probably got some last-minute surprise up his sleeve. Bet he'll show up to hype you up." A tinny voice broke through the chatter. StarJet Airlines flight for 19 to Austin Bergstrom International Airport now pre-boarding for those needing assistance or with small children. Alyssa and Ethan fist bumped, inching toward the gate. Alyssa steadied her camera, whispering, "All right, AlyssaAdventures, SXSW edition, let's roll." Ethan adjusted his backpack, humming a bass line to steady his nerves. Boarding moved fast. When their group was called, they scanned their passes and shuffled down the jet bridge, the low hum of the plane's engines sending a jolt of excitement through them. Stepping into the cabin, they breathed in the familiar scent of carpet cleaner, coffee, and recycled air. A flight attendant, her smile strained, pointed them toward business class. "Right this way," she said, glancing at their passes. Alyssa and Ethan settled into seats for A and for B. The plush leather a far cry from their usual economy sardine cans. Alyssa slid her camera bag under the seat, while Ethan pulled out his phone. Thumbing through his DJ tracks. "Gotta nail my opener," he muttered, lost in his music. Alyssa sank into her seat, grinning at the extra legroom, the sleek touchscreen menus, and the wide windows. "Okay, Dad, you're killing it," she said under her breath. She had no clue these seats were more than a perk. They were a quiet flex of David Carter's clout. For now, she was just thrilled to have a comfy spot to plan her vlog. She glanced around business class, a woman in a power suit typing furiously, a guy with a Rolex sipping orange juice, and a couple snapping selfies with their champagne flutes. Everything felt golden until a storm rolled in. The cabin filled up, passengers jostling down the aisle with roller bags and frazzled looks. Overhead bins clicked shut and flight attendants zipped around, checking seat assignments. Then a voice sliced through the noise sharp, entitled, and impossible to ignore. "Excuse me, you're blocking the aisle," it snapped. Alyssa's head swiveled. Strutting toward them was a woman in her late 40s, her blonde hair in a flawless bob, her outfit screaming wealth. Tailored navy blazer, crisp white blouse, and heels that clacked like a countdown. She gripped a massive designer tote, brushing past a flight attendant trying to offer help. Alyssa's gut pinged this was trouble, the kind of passenger who'd trend on X for throwing a fit. She mentally tagged her Beverly Hamilton, as her boarding pass would later reveal, scanned the cabin like she was inspecting a hotel suite that didn't meet her standards. Her eyes zeroed in on Alyssa and Ethan's seats, narrowing with a mix of disbelief and disdain. Ethan, still scrolling his phone, didn't notice, but Alyssa felt the heat of Beverly's stare. "Trouble's coming," she whispered, her hand drifting toward her camera. Beverly stopped dead by row 4, her lips tightening. "This is unacceptable," she said, loud enough to turn heads. "These are my seats. There's been a mix-up." The flight attendant, a guy in his 20s with a name tag reading Josh, froze mid-step. Mum, can I see your boarding pass?" he asked, reaching for her phone. Alyssa shot Ethan a look. He glanced up, frowning. "What's her problem?" he muttered. Alyssa didn't answer, but her stomach twisted. Beverly's tone wasn't just annoyed, it was personal, like she'd already decided Alyssa and Ethan were out of place in business class. Josh scanned Beverly's pass, his face falling. "Ma'am, your seat's 12D in premium economy. These seats are assigned to other passengers." Beverly's scowl deepened, her voice rising. "That's ridiculous. I'm a StarJet Platinum Elite member. I always get priority seating, do you know how much I fly with this airline?" Heads turned, passengers craning to see the drama unfold. Josh kept his cool, barely. "I hear you, Mum, but these seats are taken. I can offer a voucher for another flight or—" Beverly cut him off, snapping her fingers like she was summoning a waiter. "I don't want a voucher. I want these seats. Fix it, now." Her gaze flicked to Alyssa and Ethan, lingering with a cold edge that made Alyssa's skin crawl. She'd seen that look before, people assuming she and Ethan didn't belong, whether at a mall boutique or a concert VIP line. She gripped her armrest, forcing herself to stay calm. Ethan whispered, "She's not for real, is she?" Before Josh could respond, Beverly leaned closer, her voice dropping but still loud enough for Alyssa to hear. "I'm not sitting in the back with the usual crowd. These kids obviously got some error upgrade. Move them." Alyssa's blood surged, but she kept her face neutral, remembering her dad's mantra, "Stay cool, stand firm, document everything." She slid her camera onto her lap, hitting record without drawing attention. Josh, now visibly sweating, glanced at Alyssa and Ethan. "Let me grab the lead attendant," he stammered, darting toward the galley. Alyssa leaned toward Ethan, her voice low. "This is gonna get messy." "She's not backing off," Ethan's jaw clenched. "We didn't do anything wrong. Dad got us these seats. Was she acting like we snuck in?" Alyssa didn't have an answer, but the weight of every stair in the cabin pressed down on her. Some passengers looked annoyed at the hold-up, others offered fleeting, sympathetic glances. An older woman in row 6, her hair in neat braids, gave Alyssa a small nod, like she'd seen this play out before. Alyssa returned a tight smile, her unease growing. Beverly stood by their row, arms crossed, her foot tapping like she was counting down to victory. The minutes dragged, boarding grinding to a halt. The intercom crackled, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're addressing a brief issue. Please stay seated." Alyssa's stomach knotted tighter. She pulled out her phone, firing off a quick text to her dad. "Dad, some ladies trying to take our seats on flight for 119. Business class, for A and for B. Crew's acting weird. Help." She hit send, but O'Hare's spotty Wi-Fi betrayed her no bars. Ethan shifted in his seat. "You think Dad can fix this from Chicago?" Alyssa forced a shrug. "He's got pull. Let's hope it's enough." The lead flight attendant, a woman in her 30s with a name tag reading Karen, Alyssa stifled a smirk at the irony, approached with Josh in tow. Karen's smile was all business, her eyes tired. "Hi, folks, sorry for the mix-up. We've got a Platinum Elite member who says these seats were promised to her. Can I see your boarding passes?" Alyssa and Ethan handed over their phones. The digital passes clearly showing for A and for B. Karen's smile wavered as she checked her tablet. "These look valid, but Ms. Hamilton's insisting there's a booking error. She's a high-value customer, and we're trying to keep everyone happy." Beverly jumped in, her voice dripping with fake patience. "Look, I fly StarJet every week. I was guaranteed these seats for my Austin conference. These two," she waved at Alyssa and Ethan like they were misplaced baggage, "must have gotten a glitch upgrade. Just move them to economy. It's not complicated." Alyssa's pulse pounded, her anger bubbling. She'd dealt with enough microaggressions to know this wasn't just about seats. Beverly's tone, her stare, screamed assumptions about who belonged in business class. Alyssa kept her voice steady. "Our passes are legit. If there's an error, check with the gate agent." Beverly scoffed, folding her arms. "Please, let's not make this harder than it needs to be." Karen's eyes darted between Alyssa, Ethan, and Beverly, her composure fraying. "I'll need to consult with the captain," she said, her tone clipped. She turned to Josh. "Keep things calm here." As Karen headed toward the cockpit, Beverly shot Alyssa a smug look, like she'd already won. Alyssa's heart raced, but she kept her camera rolling, capturing every word, every glance. Ethan whispered, "This is bullshit. They can't just kick us out." Alyssa nodded, her mind racing. They hadn't done anything wrong, but the sinking feeling in her gut told her this was far from over. Little did she know, one text to her dad was about to turn this flight into a showdown no one, especially Beverly, saw coming. The cabin of StarJet Flight for 119 buzzed with tension, like a storm cloud ready to burst. Alyssa Carter sat rigid in her business class seat, her camera discreetly recording from her lap, capturing every sharp word and smug glance from Beverly Hamilton, the entitled Platinum Elite. Passenger stood by row 4, her arms crossed, her designer heels tapping in impatient rhythm. Alyssa's younger brother, Ethan, clutched his phone, his DJ dreams for South by Southwest feeling further away with every passing second. The flight attendant, Josh, hovered nearby, his face a mask of nerves as he waited for the lead attendant, Karen, to return with a verdict. Passengers craned their necks, some annoyed at the delay, others drawn to the drama unfolding like a live reality show. Alyssa's heart pounded, but she kept her cool, her dad's words echoing in her mind. "Stay calm, stand firm, document everything." She'd sent him a text about the seat dispute, but with O'Hare's shaky Wi-Fi, she had no clue if it had gone through. All she knew was that Beverly's smug certainty and the flight crew's waffling had turned their dream trip into a nightmare. Beverly let out a theatrical sigh, her voice cutting through the cabin's hum. "This is taking forever. I have a conference to prep for in Austin. Can we please resolve this?" Her eyes flicked to Alyssa and Ethan, her expression a mix of pity and disdain, like they were kids who'd wandered into the wrong VIP lounge. Alyssa's stomach churned. She'd faced enough side eyes growing up to know what Beverly's look meant. "You don't belong here." Ethan shifted in his seat, his voice low. She's acting like we stole her purse, not her seats. Alyssa nodded, her fingers tightening around her camera. Keep it chill, Ethan. We've got proof we're legit. But inside, her anger simmered. They hadn't clawed their way to these seats. Their dad had secured them, and she wasn't about to let some entitled stranger steamroll them. Josh, the flight attendant, tried to defuse the situation, his voice shaky. Ma'am, we're sorting it out. The lead attendant's checking with the captain. Beverly rolled her eyes, her tone dripping with sarcasm. The captain, really? For a simple seat mix-up? Just move these two to economy and be done with it. She gestured at Alyssa and Ethan like they were props in her personal drama. A few passengers gasped, and Alyssa caught the older woman in row 6, the one with neat braids, shaking her head in disgust. Alyssa's camera caught it all. Beverly's finger wagging, Josh's flustered retreat, and the growing unease rippling through the cabin. She leaned toward Ethan, whispering, "This is going on the vlog. People need to see this." The intercom crackled, adding to the tension. "Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the delay. We're working to resolve a seating issue and will begin taxiing." Shortly, Alyssa's pulse quickened. Taxiing? That meant the doors would close soon, and if they didn't hold their ground, they could be stuck in economy or worse. Ethan's eyes widened. "They're not gonna kick us out, right?" Alyssa forced a reassuring nod, but her confidence was slipping. She checked her phone again, no signal, no reply from her dad. The thought of David Carter, their quiet but resourceful father, gave her a flicker of hope. He'd always had a knack for fixing things, but how much pull could he have from Chicago? Karen, the lead attendant, returned, her face tight with stress. She knelt by Alyssa and Ethan's seats, her voice low but firm. "I've spoken with the captain. Ms. Hamilton's a Platinum Elite member with a confirmed booking for business class. But there's a system glitch showing your seats as valid too. To avoid further delay, we're asking you to move to premium economy seats 1 to A and 1 to B. We'll compensate you with vouchers." Alyssa's jaw dropped, her anger flaring. "Vouchers? Our passes are legit. We didn't sneak in here. Why are we the ones moving?" Ethan chimed in, his voice trembling but steady. "This isn't fair. Our dad got us these seats. Check the system." Again, Beverly, overhearing, scoffed loudly. "Oh, please, your dad? Let's not make this a sob story. I fly StarJet every week. I earned these seats." Her words stung, laced with an assumption that Alyssa and Ethan were somehow less deserving. Alyssa's mind raced. Beverly's elitism wasn't just about status. It felt personal, like their presence in business class offended her sense of order. Karen's eyes darted between them, her patience thinning. "Look, I get it's frustrating, but the flight's full, and Ms. Hamilton's a priority customer. If you don't cooperate, we may have to escalate this to the captain's authority," which could mean deplaning. The word deplaning hit like a punch. Alyssa's mind flashed to news stories: passengers dragged off flights over booking disputes, their dignity shredded in front of strangers. Ethan's face paled. "They can't do that, can they? I've got the DJ battle tomorrow." Alyssa squeezed his arm, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "They won't. We're not moving unless they show us proof we don't belong here." She held up her phone, the boarding pass glowing on the screen. "These are our seats. If there's a glitch, that's on StarJet, not us." Karen straightened, her lips pressed into a thin line. "I'll need to confirm with the gate agent's records." She turned to Josh, muttering, "Get the captain on the line." As Karen marched toward the cockpit, Beverly folded her arms, a triumphant smirk curling her lips. "Thank you. That wasn't so hard, was it?" Alyssa's blood boiled, but she kept her camera rolling, capturing Beverly's smugness and the crew's indecision. Passengers nearby were now openly watching, some whispering, others filming on their phones. The guy in row 5, the one with the gray beard, leaned forward. "Don't let her push you round," he whispered. Alyssa gave a small nod, her resolve hardening. The cabin felt like a pressure cooker, every second stretching into eternity. Alyssa tried her phone again, praying her text to her dad had gone through. Still no signal. She drafted another message, her fingers flying. "Dad, they're trying to move us to economy for some elite lady. Flight for 119, seats for A and for B. They're threatening to kick us off." Please help. She hit send, hoping it would queue up once the Wi-Fi kicked in. Ethan fidgeted, his earbuds tangled in his hands. This is messing with my head. I just want to get to Austin and spin. Alyssa forced a smile. We'll get there, Ethan. Dad's got our back. The captain, a tall man in his 50s with a crisp uniform and a no-nonsense air, emerged from the cockpit. His name tag read Captain Daniel Hayes. He conferred briefly with Karen, his expression unreadable, then approached row 4. Beverly perked up, clearly expecting a win. Captain Hayes cleared his throat, his voice calm but firm. Folks, we've got a seating dispute delaying our departure. Ms. Hamilton claims these seats were booked for her, but our system shows valid passes for the current passengers. He glanced at Alyssa and Ethan, then at Beverly. To keep things moving, we're asking the passengers in for A and for B to relocate to premium economy. We'll ensure you're compensated. Alyssa's heart sank, her anger surging. Compensated? We didn't do anything wrong. Our passes are valid, you just said so. Why are we being punished? Ethan's voice cracked as he added, this is our trip. I've got a DJ battle in Austin. You can't just move us for her. Beverly rolled her eyes, her voice syrupy with condescension. Kids, life's not always fair. I need these seats for work. You'll survive in economy. Her words dripped with entitlement, and Alyssa's camera caught every syllable, every smirk. Captain Hayes raised a hand, his tone weary. I understand your frustration, but we're on a tight schedule. If you refuse to move, we may have to remove you from the flight for non-compliance. The threat hung heavy, silencing the cabin. Alyssa's mind raced. She needed to get to Austin for her vlog, Ethan for his DJ battle. They couldn't afford to be stranded in Chicago, but giving in felt like letting Beverly's prejudice win. She took a deep breath, her voice steady. We're not moving without proof. Check the system. Our dad arranged these seats, and we have every right to be here. Beverly snorted, folding her arms. Your dad, please. Let's not drag this out. Captain Hayes' eyes softened slightly, like he sensed the injustice, but his hands were tied by protocol or maybe pressure from a high-value passenger. I'm sorry, but we need to resolve this now. Please gather your belongings and move to 1-A and 1-B. Alyssa's chest tightened, her eyes stinging with frustration. She glanced at Ethan, who looked ready to argue but was holding back for her sake. The weight of every passenger's stare pressed down, some sympathetic, others just wanting the flight to move. Alyssa made a split-second decision. Fine, she said, her voice sharp with defiance. But we're doing this under protest. I want it noted that we're being forced to move. She kept her camera rolling, capturing Karen's tense nod and Beverly's triumphant grin. Ethan's hands shook as he stuffed his phone into his backpack. This is so wrong, he muttered. Alyssa grabbed her camera bag, her heart heavy with humiliation. As they unbuckled their seat belts, the older woman in row 6 slipped Alyssa a small note. This isn't right. Stay strong. Alyssa clutched it, her resolve flickering, but not fading. With the cabin watching, Alyssa and Ethan trudged down the aisle to premium economy, their carry-ons bumping against the seats. Beverly settled into for A with a satisfied huff, already flipping through a magazine. The seats in row 12 were cramped, the Lagruma joke compared to business class. Ethan had to shove his backpack under his feet, his long legs scrunched. Alyssa clicked her seat belt, her hands trembling with rage and embarrassment. We'll fix this, she whispered to Ethan. Dad's gonna lose it when he hears. Ethan nodded, his eyes fixed on the seatback, his DJ dreams overshadowed by the sting of injustice. As the plane pushed back from the gate, 20 minutes late, Alyssa checked her phone one last time. A faint WI. System. It looks like the response was cut off. I'll continue from where it left off, ensuring the second part of the VIP mix-up meets your requirements. Over 5,000 characters, engaging, realistic, in American English, and written as a single piece for your English language YouTube channel. I'll pick up the narrative seamlessly, maintaining the dramatic tone and themes of class prejudice, family power, and social media's role while keeping the story grounded in a real-life feel. The cabin of StarJet Flight 419 hummed with a brittle tension, like a guitar string stretched to snapping. Alyssa Carter sat stiffly in her new seat in premium economy, row 1-A, her camera resting on her lap, its red light still blinking as it recorded the aftermath of their humiliating relocation. Her younger brother, Ethan, slouched beside her in 1-B, his long legs cramped against the seat in front, his backpack wedged under his feet. Up in business class, Beverly Hamilton, the platinum elite passenger who'd commandeered their seats, flipped through a glossy magazine, her smug satisfaction radiating like cheap perfume. The flight crew bustled about, avoiding eye contact with Alyssa and Ethan, as if pretending the whole fiasco hadn't happened. Passengers nearby stole glances, some curious, others sympathetic, but the weight of their stares only deepened Alyssa's mix of anger and embarrassment. Her camera had captured every moment, Beverly's entitled demands, the crew's spineless waffling, and the gut punch of being forced to move. She'd texted her dad, David Carter, about the ordeal, but O'Hara's spotty Wi-Fi left her hanging, unsure if the message had even sent. All she could do was sit tight, her mind racing with plans to fight back. Ethan fidgeted, his earbuds tangled in his hands, his usual chill vibe replaced by a quiet fury. "This is such bullshit," he muttered, his voice low so only Alyssa could hear. "I just wanted to get to Austin, spin my set, and not deal with some rich lady's power trip." Alyssa nodded, her jaw tight. "I know, Ethan, but we're not done yet. Dad's gonna flip when he hears this." She glanced at her phone again. No bars, no reply. The thought of their dad, always calm but fiercely protective, gave her a spark of hope. David Carter had a way of fixing things, even if he kept his methods under wraps. She just wished she knew how much pull he really had. Up front, Beverly sipped a sparkling water, her designer tote tucked neatly beside her stolen seat. Alyssa's camera lens, zoomed in from afar, caught the way she waved off a flight attendant offering snacks, like they were beneath her notice. The sight made Alyssa's blood boil. This wasn't just about seats, it was about Beverly's assumption that she and Ethan didn't belong in business class, that their presence was some glitch in her privileged world. Growing up black in a Chicago suburb, Alyssa had faced those assumptions before, the clerk trailing her in a store, the teacher doubting her grades. But this was public, blatant, and caught on camera. She leaned toward Ethan, her voice a fierce whisper. "This is going on the vlog. People need to see what she did." The plane finally pushed back from the gate. 20 minutes behind schedule, the engines roared, drowning out the cabin's murmurs. The intercom crackled, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Daniel Hayes. We're cleared for takeoff and expect a smooth flight to Austin. Please fasten your seat belts and enjoy the journey." Alyssa scoffed under her breath. "Smooth flight? My ass." Her seat belt dug into her hip. The premium economy seat a far cry from the plush business class they'd been ripped from. Ethan stared out the window, the Chicago skyline shrinking as the plane climbed, his DJ battle dreams clouded by the sting of injustice. Alyssa nudged him. "Hey, focus on your set. We'll deal with this." Ethan gave a half nod, but his slumped shoulders told her he was struggling. As the plane leveled off, the seat belt sign dinged off, and flight attendants rolled out drink carts. Alyssa checked her phone again, praying for a signal. A faint Wi-Fi icon flickered. StarJet's in-flight service, spotty but working. Her text to her dad was still marked as unsent, stuck in limbo. She hit resend, then typed a longer message, her fingers flying. "Dad, they forced us to move to premium economy 1-A. 1-B for some platinum elite lady named Beverly Hamilton. Flight 419. She acted like we didn't belong, and the crew threatened to kick us off if we didn't comply. I've got it all on video. Please do something." She hit send, the message queuing up. A small delivered notification popped up, and Alyssa exhaled, her hope flickering. If anyone could fix this, it was David Carter. The flight attendants moved through the cabin, their smiles forced as they handed out drinks. Josh, the young attendant who'd first dealt with Beverly, avoided Alyssa's row, his eyes fixed on the cart. Karen, the lead attendant, breezed past, her clipboard clutched like a shield. Alyssa's camera caught their unease, the way they dodged her gaze. She zoomed in on Beverly, who was now chatting loudly with the Rolex-wearing guy in row 3, her laugh grating like nails on a chalkboard. I swear, airlines need to vet their upgrades better, Beverly said, her voice carrying. Some people just don't fit in business class. The guy chuckled, and Alyssa's grip on her camera tightened. Keep talking, lady. You're digging your own grave. Passengers around Alyssa and Ethan started to settle in, some pulling out laptops, others dozing off. The older woman from row 6, the one who'd slipped Alyssa the note, caught her eye and mouthed, "You okay?" Alyssa nodded, holding up the note. "This isn't right. Stay strong," as a silent thank you. The support, small as it was, kept her grounded. Ethan, meanwhile, plugged in his earbuds, trying to lose himself in his DJ tracks, but his foot tapped restlessly. "I can't focus," he admitted, pulling one earbud out. "That lady's face is burned into my brain." Alyssa squeezed his shoulder. "We're gonna make this right. Just hang in there." Half an hour into the flight, the Wi-Fi stabilized and Alyssa's phone buzzed. A text from her dad. "Alyssa, I got your message. I'm furious. Sit tight, I'm handling it. You and Ethan stay strong. Love you." Her heart leapt, a wave of relief washing over her. David's tone, even in text, was calm but steely, the kind that meant business. She showed Ethan the message, and his eyes lit up, a faint grin breaking through. "What's he gonna do? Call the airline CEO or something?" Alyssa shrugged, a spark of curiosity mixing with her anger. "Maybe. Dad's got connections we don't even know about." She didn't realize how right she was. David Carter wasn't just a frequent flyer. He was StarJet's silent power broker, up in the galley. Something shifted. Alyssa noticed Josh and Karen huddled near the business class curtain, their faces tense as they whispered. Josh glanced at a seatback phone, then at Alyssa and Ethan's row, his eyes wide with what looked like panic. Karen grabbed her tablet, scrolling frantically, her lips pursed. Alyssa's vlogger instincts kicked and she zoomed her camera toward them, catching their agitated exchange. "Something's up," she whispered to Ethan. "Dad's already moving pieces." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "You think he's calling the plane right now? That's wild." Alyssa didn't know, but the crew's sudden nerves gave her a hunch David's influence was hitting like a shockwave. Another flight attendant, a woman with a name tag reading Maria, hurried from the cockpit, her expression grim. She joined Josh and Karen, muttering something about corporate and urgent. Alyssa's pulse quickened. She couldn't hear their words, but the way they kept glancing at her and Ethan told her this wasn't about turbulence or drink orders. Beverly, oblivious in her stolen seat, sipped her sparkling water, flipping her magazine with a self-satisfied air. Alyssa's camera caught her smugness, a stark contrast to the crew's growing unease. "She has no idea what's coming," Alyssa murmured, a flicker of triumph in her voice. The intercom dinged, and Captain Hayes's voice filled the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're cruising at 35,000 feet, expecting clear skies to Austin. We apologize again for the earlier delay and appreciate your patience." His tone was professional, but Alyssa caught a slight strain, like he was bracing for something. She leaned forward, her camera still rolling, her mind racing. Had her dad reached the captain? The airline's corporate office? She didn't know the extent of David Carter's power, but the crew's jittery behavior suggested someone big was pulling strings. Alyssa's phone buzzed again. Another text from her dad. Spoke to StarJet's exec team. "They're fixing this mid-flight. Stay put and keep recording. Proud of you both." Her eyes widened, her heart racing with a mix of relief and excitement. She showed Ethan, who let out a low whistle. "Holy shit, Dad's not playing. Mid-flight. That's next level." Alyssa nodded, her anger giving way to anticipation. Whatever David was doing, it was big, and Beverly's victory lap was about to crash and burn. In the galley, Karen picked up the seatback phone, her voice hushed but urgent. Alyssa couldn't hear the conversation, but Karen's face paled, her eyes darting to row 12, then to Beverly in row 4. Josh stood frozen, his hands clasped like he was praying for a miracle. Maria, the other attendant, scribbled something on a notepad, her movements jerky. Alyssa zoomed in, capturing their panic, her vlogger instincts on overdrive. "This is it," she whispered to Ethan. "They're about to eat their words." Ethan grinned, his slump easing. "Can't wait to see her face when they tell her to move." Suddenly, Karen hung up the phone and strode toward business class, her clipboard clutched like a lifeline. She stopped by Beverly's seat, leaning in to speak softly. Alyssa couldn't hear, but her camera caught Beverly's reaction. Her magazine dropped, her face twisting from smug to outraged. "What do you mean, a mistake?" Beverly's voice rose, sharp enough to carry. "I'm a platinum elite. You can't just—" Karen cut her off, her tone firm but low, trying to keep the scene contained. Passengers nearby perked up, sensing round two of the drama. Alyssa's heart pounded. She didn't know what was coming, but it felt like justice was taxiing down the runway. Karen turned and headed toward row 12, her face a mix of regret and resolve. She knelt by Alyssa and Ethan's seats, her voice low. "Ms. Carter, Mr. Carter, we've received new information from corporate. There was a critical error in our seating assignments. We'd like to invite you back to your original seats in business class, effective immediately." Alyssa's jaw dropped, her anger giving way to stunned triumph. Ethan's eyes lit up. "For real? We're going back?" Karen nodded, her smile tight. "Yes, and we're deeply sorry for the inconvenience. Please gather your things." Beverly, overhearing from row 4, shot up, her voice shrill. "This is outrageous. You can't move me. I'm a loyal customer." Her magazine hit the floor, her face red with fury. Karen turned, her tone icy. "Ms. Hamilton, we're correcting a mistake. Your original booking was for premium economy. We've reassigned you to 1D." The cabin erupted in murmurs, passengers whispering and filming. Alyssa's camera caught it all. Beverly's meltdown, Karen's steely resolve, and the older woman in row 6 clapping softly. A grin spreading across her face, Alyssa and Ethan grabbed their bags, their hearts racing with vindication. As they stood, passengers around them nodded in approval, some whispering, "Good for you." The guy with the gray beard in row 5 gave a thumbs up. Alyssa paused, locking eyes with Beverly, who glared back, her face a storm of rage and humiliation. "Enjoy your seat," Alyssa said softly, just loud enough for Beverly to hear, her tone laced with quiet triumph. She and Ethan followed Karen to business class, the cabin's eyes trailing them like a victory parade, settling back into for A and for B. Alyssa felt the plush leather under her, the legroom a small but sweet victory. Ethan stretched out, grinning. "Dad's a freaking superhero." Alyssa laughed, her camera still rolling. "He's something, all right." She didn't know the full scope of David Carter's power. But one thing was clear, Beverly's reign was over, and their fight was just beginning. As the flight cruised toward Austin, Alyssa's vlog was shaping up to be more than a festival diary. It was a takedown of prejudice. Caught on tape, ready to go viral. The cabin of StarJet Flight 419 hummed with a new energy. Like the air itself was charged with the aftershocks of JusticeServed. Alyssa Carter sank into her reclaimed business class seat, for A. The plush leather a stark contrast to the cramped premium economy row she'd been banished to. Just an hour ago, her camera, still rolling on her lap, had captured every moment of the dramatic reversal. Beverly Hamilton's outraged meltdown, the flight crew's flustered correction, and the quiet cheers from passengers as Alyssa and her brother, Ethan, strutted back to their rightful spots. Ethan, now sprawled in for B, stretched his long legs with a grin. His DJ battle dreams for South by Southwest reignited. "Dad's a damn legend," he whispered, shaking his head. Alyssa nodded, her hazel eyes glinting with a mix of relief and defiance. Their father, David Carter, had somehow pulled strings from Chicago, flipping the script mid-flight. But as the plane cruised at 35,000 feet, Alyssa knew this wasn't the end. Beverly's venomous glare from economy, and the crew's uneasy glances hinted at more turbulence ahead. Alyssa's phone buzzed. A new text from her dad glowing on the screen. "You're back where you belong. Corporate's investigating the crew's actions. Keep recording, and don't let anyone intimidate you. Love you both." Her heart swelled, a surge of gratitude mixing with curiosity. How did David have this kind of pull? She'd always known he was resourceful, but calling corporate mid-flight and forcing a seat swap, that was next level. She showed Ethan the text, and his eyes widened. "What's Dad's deal? Is he, like, secretly running StarJet or something?" Alyssa chuckled, but the thought lingered. "I don't know, but he's got juice we didn't know about. She tapped her camera, ensuring it was still recording. This vlog wasn't just about South by Southwest anymore. It was a raw, real-time expose of prejudice and power. Down the aisle in row 1 to D, Beverly Hamilton sat stiffly, her designer tote shoved under the seat, her face a mask of barely contained rage. Alyssa's camera, zoomed in discreetly, caught her muttering to the passenger next to her, a middle-aged guy who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "This is an insult," Beverly hissed, her voice carrying just enough to reach Alyssa's ears. "I've flown StarJet for years. They'll hear about this." The guy nodded awkwardly, clearly uninterested in her tirade. Alyssa smirked, her lens capturing Beverly's fall from grace. The woman who'd assumed she could bully her way into their seats was now stewing in economy, her platinum elite status no match for whatever David Carter had unleashed. The flight attendants moved through the cabin, their usual polish fraying at the edges. Karen, the lead attendant, handed out drinks with a forced smile, her eyes avoiding Alyssa and Effen's row. Josh, the younger attendant who'd first bungled the situation, kept his head down, pushing the drink cart like it was his lifeline. Maria, the third attendant who'd rushed from the cockpit during the seat swap, hovered near the galley, whispering to Karen. Alyssa's vlogger instincts kicked and she zoomed her camera toward them. Catching their tense exchange, Karen's tablet glowed as she scrolled, her lips pursed, while Maria gestured toward the cockpit. "They're freaking out," Alyssa whispered to Ethan. "Dad must have lit a fire under corporate." Ethan grinned, popping a complimentary pretzel in his mouth. "Good. They deserve it." The cabin settled into a fragile calm, passengers sipping drinks or scrolling on their screens. Up in business class, the woman in the power suit across the aisle gave Alyssa a nod, like she respected their comeback. The older woman from row 6, now visible through the curtain dividing business and economy, caught Alyssa's eye and flashed a proud smile. Alyssa clutched the note she'd given her. "This isn't right." Stay strong, feeling a quiet strength from the stranger's support, but the calm was deceptive. Beverly's occasional glares from row 12, sharp as daggers, told Alyssa this woman wasn't done fighting, and the crew's nervous energy suggested they knew they'd screwed up big time. Alyssa checked her phone again, the in-flight Wi-Fi now stable. Another text from her dad popped up, corporates reviewing the crew's actions and Ms. Hamilton's history. "They're grounding the team for a debrief when you land. Stay safe and let me know if anything else happens." Her jaw dropped. "Grounding the entire crew?" She showed Ethan, who let out a low whistle. "Damn, Dad's not messing around. What's he gonna do next? Buy the airline?" Alyssa laughed, but her mind raced. David Carter's influence was clearly bigger than she'd ever imagined. She'd always seen him as a steady, behind-the-scenes guy fixing flat tires, cheering at her track meets, wiring money for her camera gear. Now, she wondered just how deep his connections ran. Back in Chicago, David Carter sat in his sleek downtown office, his phone pressed to his ear, his normally calm demeanor replaced by a cold fury. As StarJet's majority shareholder, he'd spent years staying out of the spotlight, letting the airline's executives handle daily operations while he focused on strategy and investments. He'd wanted Alyssa and Ethan to grow up grounded, not coasting on his wealth or influence, but this, forcing his kids out of their seats for a self-entitled passenger while the crew caved to her status. It was personal. On the line, StarJet's coup, Linda Grayson, sounded rattled. "Mr. Carter, we've confirmed the booking error was on our end." Ms. Hamilton's claim was baseless. She was never assigned business class. The crew mishandled it, prioritizing her status over protocol. David's voice was low, controlled. "Mishandled. They threatened to deplane my kids." "Linda, Alyssa's got it all on video, every word, every threat. This isn't just a booking error. It's a failure of judgment, maybe worse." Linda hesitated, her voice tight. "We're pulling the crew's statements as soon as they land. Ms. Hamilton's a frequent flyer, but she's had complaints before demanding upgrades, berating staff. We should have flagged her sooner." David's jaw tightened. "You think? I want a full report, every decision, every bias. If there's even a hint of prejudice against my kids, heads will roll." He hung up, his mind flashing to Alyssa and Ethan, their faces bright with ambition. No one would dim their light, not on his watch. Back on the plane, the drink service wrapped up, and the cabin lights dimmed for the evening flight. Alyssa kept her camera rolling, capturing the subtle shifts in the crew's behavior. Karen approached their row, her clipboard gone, her smile more genuine but strained. "Can I get you anything? Water? Soda?" Alyssa shook her head, her tone cool. "We're good, thanks." Karen lingered, like she wanted to say more, then moved on. Alyssa whispered to Ethan, "She knows they messed up. Bet they're sweating bullets." Ethan smirked, munching another pretzel. "They should be." Dad's probably got the CEO on speed dial. In row 12, Beverly's muttering grew louder, her voice slicing through the cabin's quiet. "This is discrimination against loyal customers," she told her seatmate, who was now buried in his phone, clearly done with her. "I'll have my lawyer on this by morning." Alyssa's camera caught her tirade, the lens picking up her flushed cheeks and wild gestures. A few passengers nearby rolled their eyes, one muttering, "Give it a rest, lady." Alyssa zoomed out, capturing the ripple effect. Beverly's outburst was turning her into the cabin's villain, while Alyssa and Ethan were emerging as underdog heroes. The intercom dinged, and Captain Hayes' voice returned, a touch more subdued. "Folks, we're about halfway to Austin, cruising smoothly. We'll begin our descent in about an hour. Thank you for your patience." Alyssa caught a hint of unease in his tone, like he knew the corporate hammer was coming. She leaned toward Ethan, her voice low. "This is bigger than seats, isn't it? Dad's not just fixing this for us, he's shaking things up." Ethan nodded, his eyes brightening. "Bet he's got a whole plan. We just gotta ride it out." A sudden commotion in the galley drew Alyssa's attention. Josh, Karen, and Maria were back at the seatback phone, their voices hushed but frantic. Alyssa zoomed in, her camera catching Karen's wide eyes as she listened, nodding rapidly. Maria scribbled on her notepad, her hand shaking. Josh glanced toward Alyssa and Ethan, his face pale, like he'd seen a ghost. Alyssa's heart raced. Whatever was happening, it was big. She whispered to Ethan, "Dad's not done. Look at them, they're freaking out." Ethan leaned forward, his grin widening. "This is gonna be good." A passenger in row 10, a college-aged guy with a SXSW lanyard, leaned over the aisle. "Yo, you two are legends," he said, keeping his voice low. "Saw the whole thing go down. You got that lady shook." Alyssa smiled, her confidence surging. "Thanks, man, just standing our ground." The guy nodded, holding up his phone. "Got some of it on video too. Want me to send it?" Alyssa's eyes lit up. More footage meant more proof. "Hell yeah. DM me on X at AlyssaAdventures." He grinned, tapping his screen. The support from strangers, combined with her dad's invisible hand, made Alyssa feel unstoppable. As the plane soared through the night, Alyssa's camera kept rolling, capturing the crew's nervous huddles, Beverly's sulking, and the cabin's shifting mood. Her vlog was no longer just a festival diary, it was a battle cry, a raw account of fighting prejudice and winning. She didn't know the full scope of her dad's power, but one thing was clear: David Carter had turned a routine flight into a reckoning, and when they landed in Austin, Beverly and the crew would face a storm they never saw coming. Alyssa leaned back, her camera steady, ready to document every second of what came next. The hum of StarJet Flight for 19's engines filled the cabin, a steady drone that did little to ease the electric tension crackling through the air. Alyssa Carter sat in her reclaimed business class seat, for A, her camera still rolling discreetly on her lap, capturing every glance, every whisper, every shift in the drama that had turned this flight into a battlefield. Her brother, Ethan, lounged in for B, his long legs stretched out, a faint grin playing on his lips as he savored their victory. They'd been yanked from these seats by Beverly Hamilton, a platinum elite passenger whose entitlement had sparked a showdown, only to be reinstated mid-flight thanks to their dad, David Carter, and his mysterious corporate pull. But as the plane cruised toward Austin, Alyssa's vlogger instincts told her the story wasn't over. Beverly's seething glares from premium economy and the flight crew's jittery movements hinted at a storm still brewing, and Alyssa was ready to catch every second of it on tape. The cabin lights were dimmed, casting a soft glow over the business class section. Alyssa adjusted her camera, zooming in on Beverly in row 1 to D, where she sat rigid, her designer tote shoved under the seat, her face a storm of humiliation and fury. Beverly's muttering had quieted, but her occasional sharp glances toward Alyssa and Ethan burned with resentment. Alyssa's lens caught her flipping her phone screen on and off, as if drafting a scathing complaint she couldn't yet send. "She's not done," Alyssa whispered to Ethan, her voice low. "Bet she's planning her comeback," Ethan snorted, popping a complimentary almond from the snack tray. "Good luck with that." "Dad's got her number," Alyssa nodded, her mind racing. David Carter's texts had promised corporate action, but what exactly was he pulling off from Chicago? She was starting to suspect his influence went way beyond frequent flyer perks. Up front, the flight attendants moved like they were walking on eggshells. Karen, the lead attendant, handed out warm towels with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, her clipboard nowhere in sight. Josh, the younger attendant who'd first fumbled the seat dispute, stuck to the galley, his face pale as he sorted napkins, like his life depended on it. Maria, the attendant who'd rushed from the cockpit during the seat swap, kept checking her tablet, her fingers trembling slightly. Alyssa zoomed her camera toward them, catching their hushed exchange near the business class curtain. Karen's lips moved quickly, her eyes darting to Alyssa and Ethan's row, while Maria nodded, her expression grim. "They're in deep," Alyssa murmured to Ethan. "Dad's probably got corporate." Tearing them apart, Ethan grinned, his DJ confidence creeping back. "Serves them right. Threatening to kick us off. Dumb move." Alyssa's phone buzzed. Another text from her dad glowing in the dim light. "Corporate's got the full story. The crew's grounded for a full review when you land. Ms. Hamilton's status is under scrutiny. Keep your camera on, evidence matters. Proud of you." Alyssa's eyes widened, her heart racing with a mix of vindication and awe. Grounding the entire crew? Scrutinizing Beverly's elite status? She showed Ethan, who let out a low whistle. "Dad's playing hardball. What's his deal? Is he like the airline's secret boss?" Alyssa shrugged, a spark of curiosity igniting. "I don't know, but he's got power we didn't see coming." She tapped her camera, ensuring it was still recording. This vlog was no longer just a South by Southwest diary, it was a front row seat to a takedown of privilege and prejudice. Back in Chicago, David Carter stood by the window of his downtown office, the city's skyline glittering under a summer night. His phone was hot from back-to-back calls with StarJet's executive team, his normally calm demeanor replaced by a steely resolve. As the airline's majority shareholder, he'd spent years in the shadows, guiding strategy while keeping his family life separate. He'd wanted Alyssa and Ethan to grow up humble, earning their way without his wealth or influence paving the path. But this incident his kids humiliated, threatened with deplaning for a passenger's ego had crossed a line. On the line, StarJet's CEO, Margaret Voss, sounded strained. "Mr. Carter, we've reviewed the booking logs. Ms. Hamilton's claim to business class was false. She was assigned premium economy. The crew escalated based on her status, not protocol. It's a clear violation." David's voice was icy. "A violation? They threatened to remove my kids, Margaret." Alyssa's got video, every word, every threat. "This isn't just a glitch, it's a culture problem. And if there's any hint of bias against them because of who they are, I won't stop at a review." Margaret swallowed audibly. "We're pulling the crew for a full debrief in Austin. Ms. Hamilton's history shows multiple complaints demanding upgrades, harassing staff. We're considering revoking her status." David nodded, his jaw tight. "Do it, and I want a public statement ready. This doesn't stay internal." He hung up, his mind on Alyssa and Ethan, their ambition and resilience. No one would dim their shine, not Beverly, not the crew, not anyone. Back on the plane, the cabin settled into a restless quiet. Passengers dozing or watching in-flight movies, in business class. The woman in the power suit across the aisle leaned over, her voice low. "You handled that like pros. Respect." Alyssa smiled, her confidence bolstered. "Thanks, just standing our ground." The woman nodded, returning to her laptop, but her support lingered like a shield. The older woman from row 6, visible through the curtain, caught Alyssa's eye and gave a thumbs up. Her earlier note, "This isn't right." "Stay strong," still tucked in Alyssa's pocket. The small acts of solidarity from strangers fueled her resolve, but Beverly's presence in row 12, like a coiled snake, kept her on edge. Alyssa zoomed her camera toward Beverly, catching her typing furiously on her phone, her face flushed with indignation. Probably emailing her lawyer, Ethan whispered, smirking. Or posting a rant on X. Alyssa chuckled, but her gut told her Beverly wasn't the type to go quietly. Her camera panned to the galley, where Karen and Maria were back at the seatback phone, their voices too low to hear, but their body language screaming panic. Josh hovered nearby, his hands fidgeting as he rearranged a tray of cups. Alyssa's lens caught Karen's wide eyes as she listened, nodding rapidly, then glancing toward Alyssa and Ethan's row. "They're getting roasted," Alyssa said, her voice a mix of triumph and anticipation. "Dad's not letting this slide." The intercom dinged, and Captain Hayes's voice filled the cabin, a touch more strained than before. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're about 45 minutes from Austin Bergstrom. Weather's clear, and we'll begin our descent soon. Thank you for flying StarJet." Alyssa caught the slight waver in his tone, like he knew the landing would bring more than just a gate assignment. She leaned toward Ethan, her voice low. "This is bigger than us now. Dad's turning this into a reckoning." Ethan nodded, his grin widening. "Bet Beverly's gonna wish she picked a different flight." A sudden stir in the galley pulled Alyssa's attention. Maria hung up the phone, her face pale, and whispered something to Karen, who nodded grimly. Josh, standing nearby, looked like he might bolt. Maria grabbed her tablet, scrolling with a frenzy while Karen headed toward business class, her steps deliberate. She stopped by Alyssa and Ethan's row, her smile tight but apologetic. "Ms. Carter, Mr. Carter, on behalf of StarJet, I want to personally apologize for the earlier error. We're offering you complimentary meal vouchers for the remainder of the flight, and a credit for future travel." Alyssa raised an eyebrow, her tone cool. "Vouchers? After threatening to kick us off?" "We're good, thanks." Karen's smile faltered, but she nodded and moved on, clearly rattled. Alyssa's camera caught the exchange, her lens panning to Beverly, who was now glaring at them from row 12, her phone clutched like a weapon. "She's losing it," Ethan whispered, his voice gleeful. "Look at her face." Alyssa zoomed in, capturing Beverly's flushed cheeks and tight lips as she typed, her fingers stabbing the screen. A passenger in row 11, a college kid with a SXSW lanyard, leaned over. "Yo, you two are viral material," he said, grinning. "I posted a clip of her meltdown on X. It's blowing up." Alyssa's eyes lit up. "For real? Send it to me at AlyssaAdventures." The kid nodded, tapping his phone. "Done. You're gonna break the internet with this." The cabin's mood shifted, passengers whispering about the drama, some openly siding with Alyssa and Ethan. The guy with the gray beard in row 5 gave a subtle fist pump, while the older woman in row 6 flashed another proud smile. Alyssa felt a surge of power. Her camera, her voice, her truth were reshaping the narrative, and she hadn't even landed yet. But Beverly's presence, like a dark cloud, kept her vigilant. "She's not gonna let this go," Alyssa said to Ethan. "Bet she's planning something." Ethan shrugged, popping another almond. "Let her try. Dad's got us covered." As the plane began its descent, the seat belt sign dinged on, and the crew prepared for landing. Alyssa kept her camera rolling, capturing the final moments of the flight's drama. Karen's tense glances, Beverly's sullen silence, and the passengers' growing buzz. Her vlog was now a weapon, a raw account of fighting back against entitlement and winning, at least for now. She didn't know the full extent of her dad's influence, but one thing was clear. David Carter had turned this flight into a battleground, and when they touched down in Austin, the real showdown would begin. Alyssa leaned back, her camera steady, ready to film the next chapter of their victory. The wheels of StarJet Flight 419 screeched against the tarmac. At Austin Bergstrom International Airport, the jolt snapping Alyssa Carter back to the moment. She sat in her business class seat, her camera still rolling, its tiny red light a silent witness to the drama that had unfolded at 35,000 feet. Her brother, Ethan, stretched in for B, his grin wide as he soaked in their hard-won victory over Beverly Hamilton. the platinum elite passenger who'd tried to steal their seats. With a mix of entitlement and prejudice, thanks to their dad, David Carter, and his mysterious corporate pull, they'd been reinstated mid-flight, leaving Beverly fuming in premium economy. But as the plane taxied to the gate, Alyssa's vlogger instincts buzzed Beverly's venomous glares, and the flight crew's nervous glances told her the story was far from over. Her camera had captured it all, and with clips already going viral on X, this wasn't just a flight gone wrong, it was a movement, a raw, real-time takedown of privilege that could light up her YouTube channel, AlyssaAdventures. The cabin stirred as passengers unbuckled, grabbing bags and stretching after the 3-hour flight. Alyssa kept her camera rolling, zooming in on Beverly in row 1D, who sat stiffly, her designer tote clutched like a lifeline, her face a mask of barely contained rage. Beverly's eyes darted toward Alyssa and Ethan, her lips pursed as if swallowing 1,000 complaints. Alyssa's lens caught her typing furiously on her phone, probably drafting a scathing email or ranting on social media. "She's plotting something," Alyssa whispered to Ethan, her voice low but sharp. Ethan smirked, popping a leftover almond from the snack tray. "Let her try. Dad's got her on lock." Alyssa nodded, but her gut churned. Beverly wasn't the type to slink away quietly, and the crew's uneasy vibe suggested they knew the landing would bring more than just baggage. "Claim." The intercom crackled, Captain Daniel Hayes' voice cutting through the cabin's hum. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Austin. Local time is 8:47 p.m., and the temperature is a balmy 82 degrees. Please remain seated until we reach the gate. Thank you for flying StarJet." His tone was professional, but Alyssa caught a faint strain, like he was bracing for what awaited on the ground. She checked her phone. StarJet's Wi-Fi had held up, and a new text from her dad glowed on the screen. "You're landing soon. StarJet execs will meet you at the gate. Crew's grounded for a full review, and Ms. Hamilton's status is suspended pending investigation. Stay sharp and keep filming. Love you." Alyssa's heart raced, a mix of triumph and disbelief washing over her. Suspending Beverly's status? Grounding the crew? She showed Ethan, who let out a low whistle. "Dad's not playing. What's he gonna do next? Fire the whole airline?" Alyssa chuckled, but her mind spun. David Carter's power was bigger than she'd ever imagined, and she was starting to wonder just how deep his influence ran. As the plane pulled up to the gate, the seat belt sign dinged off, and passengers surged to their feet, yanking bags from overhead bins. Alyssa kept her camera rolling, capturing the cabin's restless energy. Karen, the lead flight attendant, moved through business class, her smile tight as she handed out coats, her eyes avoiding Alyssa and Ethan's row. Josh, the younger attendant who'd botched the initial dispute, stayed in the galley, his face pale as he stacked trays with robotic precision. Maria, the attendant who'd relayed corporate's orders mid-flight, stood by the exit, her tablet clutched like a shield. Alyssa zoomed in, catching their tense glances toward the cockpit. "They're scared," she whispered to Ethan. "Dad's got corporate breathing down their necks." Ethan grinned, slinging his backpack over his shoulder. "Good. They should have backed us from the start." Passengers began filing out, the business class section emptying first. Alyssa and Ethan grabbed their bags, stepping into the aisle with a quiet confidence. The woman in the power suit from across the aisle gave them a nod, her voice low. "You do own that. Keep fighting." Alyssa smiled, her resolve bolstered. "Thanks. We're not done yet." The older woman from row 6, now shuffling past an economy, slipped Alyssa another note. "You're heroes. Tell your story." Alyssa clutched it, the stranger's support fueling her fire. But as they neared the exit, Beverly's voice cut through the crowd, sharp and indignant. "This is unacceptable," she snapped, shoving past a passenger to confront Karen. "I demand to speak to your supervisor now." Karen's face froze, her voice strained. "Ma'am, please proceed to the gate. We'll address your concerns there." Beverly's glare could have melted steel, but she stormed off, her heels clacking like gunfire. Alyssa's camera caught the exchange, her lens tracking Beverly's exit as she muttered to herself, her phone still in hand. "She's gonna make a scene," Alyssa said to Ethan, her voice a mix of anticipation and caution. Ethan shrugged, his DJ swagger returning. Let her. She's already trending for all the wrong reasons. Alyssa checked. Her phone X was buzzing with clips of Beverly's mid-flight meltdown, posted by the college kid in row 11 and others who'd filmed the drama. Her own account, at AlyssaAdventures, was racking up notifications, with comments like "Call out that Karen" and "JusticeServed." She smiled, her vlog shaping up to be a viral bombshell. But first, they had to face whatever waited at the gate, stepping off the plane into the jet bridge. Alyssa and Ethan were hit with the warm, humid Austin air, a contrast to Chicago's summer bite. The terminal was a blur of neon signs, cowboy hats, and SXSW banners welcoming festival-goers. Alyssa kept her camera rolling, narrating softly. "Just landed in Austin, and the drama's not over. Stay tuned, Alyssa's Adventures, this is about to get wild." Ethan nudged her, pointing to a group of suits waiting at the gate, their StarJet badges glinting under the fluorescent lights. "That's gotta be Dad's people," he said, his voice tinged with awe. Alyssa nodded, her heart pounding. 3 executives, 2 women, and a man stood with serious expressions, flanked by an airport security officer. Karen, Josh, and Maria trailed behind, their faces grim as they approached the group. The lead executive, a woman in her 50s with a sharp blazer and a name tag reading Linda Grayson, Koo, stepped forward as Alyssa and Ethan emerged. "Ms. Carter, Mr. Carter," she said, her voice calm but authoritative. "I'm Linda Grayson, StarJet's Chief Operating Officer. On behalf of the airline, I apologize for the unacceptable experience you endured. We'd like to discuss this privately, if you're willing." Alyssa's eyes widened. Dad hadn't just called corporate, he'd sent the top brass. She glanced at Ethan, who gave a subtle nod, then turned back to Linda. "We'll talk, but I'm keeping my camera on. This needs to be transparent." Linda hesitated, then nodded. "Understood. Follow me, please." Beverly, who'd stormed ahead, spun around at the sight of the executives, her face a mix of shock and fury. "What is this?" she demanded, her voice echoing through the gate area. "I'm the one who was mistreated. I demand an explanation." The security officer stepped forward, his tone firm. "Ma'am, please lower your voice and step aside. We're addressing all parties." Beverly's jaw dropped, her eyes darting to Alyssa and Ethan, who stood calmly beside Linda. Alyssa's camera caught her sputtering, the lens capturing her unraveling composure. Passengers from the flight lingered nearby, some filming, others whispering about the Karen who'd lost her throne. Linda led Alyssa, Ethan, and the crew to a private lounge near the gate, its glass walls offering a view of the bustling terminal. The other 2 executives, a woman named Rachel, VP of Customer Experience, and a man named Greg, Director of Operations, followed, their faces tense. Karen, Josh, and Maria shuffled in, their heads down, like kids sent to the principal's office. Beverly was escorted in by the security officer, her protests muted, but her glare venomous. Alyssa kept her camera rolling, narrating softly. "We're in a StarJet lounge now, about to get answers. This is Alyssa's Adventures, and we're not backing down." Inside the lounge, Linda gestured to a conference table. "Please have a seat." Alyssa and Ethan sat, their bags at their feet, while Beverly hovered near the door, refusing to sit. The crew stood awkwardly against the wall, their badges glinting under the lounge's soft lighting. Linda cleared her throat, her voice steady. "Ms. Carter, Mr. Carter, our investigation confirms your seats were correctly assigned. The error was ours. Ms. Hamilton's claim to business class was invalid, and our crew mishandled the situation, prioritizing her status over protocol. We've suspended their duties pending a full review and are taking immediate steps to prevent this in the future." Alyssa's heart pounded, her camera capturing Linda's words. "So you're saying they threatened to deplane us for nothing?" she asked, her tone sharp but controlled. Linda nodded, her expression grim. "Yes, and that's unacceptable. We're offering you full compensation, refunded tickets, travel credits, and a formal apology. We'd also like to invite you to meet with our CEO in Austin tomorrow to discuss further steps." Ethan's eyes widened, but Alyssa kept her cool. "We appreciate that, but what about her?" She nodded toward Beverly, who bristled at the attention. Beverly stepped forward, her voice shrill. "This is outrageous. I'm a loyal customer. You can't treat me like this." Linda's eyes hardened. "Ms. Hamilton, your behavior was disruptive, and your claim was baseless. Your Platinum Elite status is suspended, and we're reviewing your account for further action." Beverly's face went white, her hands trembling. "You'll hear from my lawyer," she spat, storming out, the security officer trailing her. Alyssa's camera caught her exit, the lens lingering on her retreating figure as passengers outside clapped and cheered. Linda turned back to Alyssa and Ethan, her tone softer. "Your father's been instrumental in pushing for accountability. He's waiting to meet you at baggage claim." Alyssa's jaw dropped. "Dad was in Austin?" She glanced at Ethan, who grinned. "Told you he'd show up." As they stood to leave, Alyssa kept her camera rolling, narrating. "Just got justice from StarJet's top brass, and Dad's here. Alyssa's Adventures is just getting started." The lounge emptied, the crew left to face their reckoning, and Alyssa felt a surge of power. Her vlog, her voice, her truth were about to shake the world. The Austin Bergstrom International Airport terminal buzzed with the chaotic energy of South by Southwest rivals, musicians lugging guitar cases, festival goers in tie-dye shirts, and influencers snapping selfies under neon signs. Alyssa Carter and her brother, Ethan, stepped out of the StarJet lounge, their bags slung over their shoulders, their spirits high after a face-off that had left Beverly Hamilton humiliated and the flight crew grounded. Alyssa's camera, still rolling, captured the terminal's vibrant chaos, her soft narration weaving through the noise. "We just walked out of a showdown with StarJet's top execs, and justice feels good. But the story's not over. Dad's waiting at baggage claim, and Alyssa's Adventures is about to take South by Southwest by storm." Ethan grinned beside her, his DJ battle nerves overshadowed by the thrill of their victory. Their dad, David Carter, had flipped a routine flight into a corporate reckoning, and Alyssa's vlog, now fueled by viral X clips, was poised to break the internet. But as they navigated the crowded terminal, Alyssa's vlogger instincts stayed sharp. Beverly's dramatic exit and the crew's fallout hinted at more twists to come. The terminal's escalators hummed as Alyssa and Ethan descended toward baggage claim, the air thick with the scent of coffee and warm pretzels. Alyssa kept her camera rolling, panning across the sea of travelers, a street performer strumming a banjo, a group of college kids waving SXSW badges, and a cluster of StarJet employees whispering near a kiosk, their eyes darting toward her and Ethan. "They know who we are," Alyssa whispered to Ethan, her lens catching the employees' nervous glances. Ethan smirked, adjusting his backpack. "Yeah, Dad's got 'em shook. Bet they're double-checking every seat now." Alyssa nodded, her mind racing. David Carter's texts had revealed he was StarJet's majority shareholder, a secret he'd kept to let them grow up grounded. But now his influence was reshaping their story, and she couldn't wait to hear his side. Her phone buzzed with notifications. X was exploding with clips of Beverly's mid-flight meltdown and lounge outburst shared by passengers like the college kid in row 11. Her account, at AlyssaAdventures, was flooded with comments. "Expose that Karen. Your heroes. StarJet better pay up." Alyssa smiled, her vlog's reach growing by the second. A new text from her dad popped up, at baggage claim, near Carousel 3. "Can't wait to see you. Bring your camera." Her heart leapt. David was here, and he wanted her to keep filming. She showed Ethan, who raised an eyebrow. "Dad's all in on this vlog?" "That's new." Alyssa chuckled. "He knows it's bigger than us now. This is about calling out the whole system." Baggage claim was a madhouse, with suitcases tumbling onto carousels and travelers jostling for space. Alyssa spotted their dad near Carousel 3, his tall frame and salt and pepper hair unmistakable even in the crowd. David Carter stood in a simple polo and jeans, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos around him. But his eyes, sharp and focused, carried the weight of a man who'd just turned an airline upside down. Alyssa's camera zoomed in as they approached, capturing his warm smile and the pride in his gaze. "There's my superstars," he said, pulling them into a tight hug. Alyssa laughed, narrating softly. "Reunited with Dad in Austin, and he's got that look like he just won a war." David stepped back, his voice low but firm. "You two okay?" I'm so sorry you went through that. Alyssa nodded, her camera still rolling. We're good now, thanks to you. What did you do, Dad? The crew's grounded. Beverly's status is toast. What's your deal? Ethan chimed in, grinning. Yeah, you some secret airline kingpin or what? David chuckled, but his eyes held a flicker of something deeper. Let's just say I've got some sway with StarJet. I'm their majority shareholder, have been for years. Didn't want you growing up with that hanging over you. But today, they crossed a line. Alyssa's jaw dropped, her camera catching her stunned expression. Majority shareholder? Dad, that's huge. Why didn't you tell us? David shrugged, his tone humble. You didn't need my shadow. You're shining on your own. The baggage claim crowd swirled around them, but Alyssa felt like they were in a bubble, her camera capturing every word. David's revelation reframed everything: their modest Chicago upbringing, his quiet support, the business class seats he'd arranged. Ethan shook his head, half laughing. So you own the airline, and we were still flying economy all those years. David grinned, ruffling Ethan's hair. Kept you grounded, didn't it? But today, I had to step in. Nobody messes with my kids. Alyssa's heart swelled, her vlog turning into something personal, a tribute to her dad's love and their fight for justice. David glanced at her camera, his voice steady. Keep filming, Alyssa. Your video's already making waves, and StarJet's feeling the heat. They're drafting a public apology and rolling out bias training for all staff. Beverly's done. Her status is revoked, and she's banned from future flights. Alyssa's eyes widened, her lens panning to Ethan's shocked grin. Banned? For real? David nodded, his tone firm. Her history's full of complaints, bullying staff, demanding upgrades. Today was her last straw. Alyssa narrated softly, StarJet's cleaning house, and Dad's leading the charge. This is AlyssaAdventures, and we're just getting started. The carousel spit out their bags, and David helped haul them off, his strength belying his unassuming vibe. As they headed toward the exit, Alyssa's phone buzzed again. More X notifications, plus a DM from the college kid with additional footage of Beverly's lounge rant. This is gold, Alyssa said, showing Ethan. We've got enough for a full expose. Ethan's eyes lit up, his DJ nerves fading. Drop it during my set tomorrow. Imagine the crowd losing it. Alyssa grinned, her vlog's narrative taking shape, a raw, real-time story of fighting prejudice, backed by her dad's quiet power and a growing online army. Outside, Austin's night air hit them like a warm blanket, the city pulsing with SXSW energy, street performers, food trucks, and neon lights. David led them to a sleek black SUV, a StarJet driver holding the door. VIP treatment, he said with a wink. Alyssa narrated, her camera panning across the festival banners. From a flight fight to VIP vibes in Austin. Stay tuned, AlyssaAdventures South by Southwest is about to get lit. They piled in, the driver whisking them toward their downtown hotel, where SXSW was in full swing. Alyssa kept filming, capturing Ethan's excited chatter about his DJ battle and David's quiet pride. Back at the airport, Beverly Hamilton stood alone at a customer service desk, her face red as she argued with a StarJet agent. Her Platinum Elite card, once her golden ticket, was now a useless piece of plastic. Passengers from Flight 419 whispered nearby, some filming her meltdown, their clips feeding the viral fire Alyssa had sparked. On X, #StarJetKaren was trending, with Alyssa's handle tagged in thousands of posts. Beverly's attempt at a comeback, a poorly worded X rant about unfair treatment, backfired, drawing a flood of memes and clapbacks. Alyssa didn't see it yet, but her vlog was already reshaping the narrative, turning her and Ethan into underdog heroes. At the hotel, a boutique spot decked out with SXSW art, Alyssa and Ethan checked in, their rooms comped by StarJet as part of their compensation. David joined them in the lobby, his presence grounding them amidst the festival chaos. You to get some rest, he said, his voice warm. Ethan, kill it at your DJ battle tomorrow. Alyssa, your vlog's gonna change things, keep pushing. Alyssa hugged him, her camera off for the first time in hours. Thanks, Dad, for everything. Ethan nodded, his grin wide. Yeah, you're kinda the GOAT. David laughed, waving them off to their rooms. Alyssa settled into her room, the city's neon glow filtering through the window. She plugged in her camera, backing up the day's footage, hours of raw, unfiltered drama. As she scrolled X, she saw the hashtag StarJetKaren hashtag exploding, her clips shared by influencers and news outlets alike. A message from StarJet's PR team popped up, offering a meeting with their CEO the next day to discuss next steps. Alyssa smiled, her fingers hovering over her keyboard. This wasn't just a vlog anymore, it was a movement, a call out of entitlement and bias. Powered by her voice and her dad's unseen hand, she typed a quick reply, accepting the meeting, then texted Ethan, "Your set's gonna be epic. Let's drop the vlog during it." His reply came fast, "Hell yeah. World's not ready. As Alyssa lay back, the sounds of SXSW drifting through the walls, she felt a fire in her chest. Her vlog, her truth, was about to hit South by Southwest like a tidal wave, exposing Beverly, holding StarJet accountable, and lifting her and Ethan to new heights. David's quiet power had set the stage, but it was her story to tell. She closed her eyes, the camera charging beside her, ready to capture the next chapter of their triumph. The Austin skyline glittered under a velvet night, its neon pulse sensing with the electric vibe of South by Southwest. Alyssa Carter stood backstage at the festival's main venue, a sprawling outdoor stage where thousands of fans swayed to thumping bass lines. Her camera hung around her neck, its battery nearly drained from a whirlwind day of filming. But she wasn't done yet. Her vlog, AlyssaAdventures, had exploded online, fueled by viral X clips of Beverly Hamilton's mid-flight meltdown on StarJet Flight 419. Alyssa and her brother, Ethan, had fought back against the entitled platinum elite passenger who'd tried to steal their business class seats, only to be reinstated thanks to their dad, David Carter, StarJet's majority shareholder. Now, with Beverly's status revoked, the flight crew grounded, and StarJet issuing public apologies, Alyssa's story was more than a vlog, it was a movement, a raw call out of privilege and prejudice that had South by Southwest buzzing. As Ethan prepared for his DJ battle, Alyssa felt the weight of their triumph, her camera ready to capture the final chapter of their saga. The festival was a sensory overload, food trucks pumping out taco smoke, street performers juggling fire, and crowds decked in festival gear. From cowboy boots to glow-in-the-dark face paint, Alyssa weaved through the backstage chaos, her camera rolling, narrating softly. Day 1 of SXSW, and AlyssaAdventures is on fire. We took down a Karen, shook up an airline, and now Ethan's about to slay his DJ battle. This is our moment, stay tuned. Ethan, decked out in a black hoodie and neon sneakers, fiddled with his laptop at the DJ booth, his nerves masked by a focused frown. David Carter stood nearby, his quiet presence a rock amidst the frenzy, his pride in his kids shining through his reserved smile. Alyssa zoomed in on him, catching his nod of encouragement to Ethan. "Dad's been our secret weapon," she narrated. "But tonight, it's all about us." The past 24 hours had been a blur. After their showdown with StarJet's executives at the airport, Alyssa and Ethan had settled into their hotel rooms, their stories spreading like wildfire online. X was ablaze with hashtag StarJetKaren. Beverly's meltdown clips racking up millions of views, shared by passengers, influencers, and even news outlets. Alyssa's account, and AlyssaAdventures, was drowning in notifications, fans praising her courage, brands offering collabs, and trolls trying to defend Beverly, only to be buried in clapbacks. StarJet's PR team had emailed her that morning, confirming a meeting with their CEO after Ethan's performance, along with a public statement condemning the crew's actions and announcing mandatory bias training. Alyssa's vlog, still unedited, was a goldmine of raw footage. Beverly's entitlement, the crew's threats, the exec's apologies, and she planned to drop it during Ethan's set, sensing its release with his beats for maximum impact. Backstage, the crowd's roar grew as the previous DJ wrapped up, lasers slicing through the humid air. Alyssa checked her phone. X was still trending with their story, and a new clip from the college kid in row 11 showed Beverly arguing at the airport's customer service desk, her face red with fury. Comments piled up. She's done. Alyssa's a queen. Alyssa smiled. Forwarding the clip to her laptop for the vlog edit, Ethan glanced over, his laptop glowing with his set list. "You dropping the video tonight?" he asked, his voice tight with excitement. Alyssa nodded, her curls bouncing. "Since to your finale. When you hit that drop, the world's gonna see our story." Ethan grinned, his nerves easing. "Let's make it legendary." David approached, his voice low to cut through the noise. "You two are killing it, Ethan. Focus on your set." Crowd's hyped. "Alyssa, your vlog's already changing things. StarJet's board called me this morning. They're shook." Alyssa's eyes widened, her camera catching his words. "The board? Dad, what are you?" David chuckled, his humility intact despite his power. "Just a guy who loves his kids. Keep telling your truth, that's what matters." Alyssa hugged him, narrating softly. "Dad's the real MVP. But tonight, Ethan and I are taking the stage." The stage manager, a weary guy with a headset, waved Ethan over. "You're up in 5, DJ Carter." Ethan took a deep breath, fist bumping Alyssa and David before heading to the booth. Alyssa followed, her camera rolling, capturing his setup, laptop plugged in, mixer glowing, crowd chanting beyond. The curtain, the MC's voice boomed. "Next up, from Chicago, give it up for DJ Carter." The crowd erupted, and Ethan launched his set, a pulsing mix of hip-hop and EDM that sent the festival into a frenzy. Alyssa filmed from the wings, her lens panning across the sea of glowing phones and bouncing bodies. "Ethan's killing it," she narrated, her voice drowned out by the bass. "This is SXSW, and we're unstoppable." As Ethan's beats thumped, Alyssa pulled out her laptop, connecting to the venue's Wi-Fi to finalize her vlog. She'd spent the morning editing, stitching together the flight's raw footage, Beverly's smug demands, the crew's threats to deplane them, the mid-flight seat swap, and the lounge showdown with StarJet's execs. She layered in clips from passengers, text overlays calling out prejudice, and a voiceover framing their fight as a stand against entitlement. The final cut, 10 minutes long, ended with a shot of her and Ethan in business class, triumphant, with a call to action: speak your truth, fight for what's right. Subscribe to AlyssaAdventures. She uploaded it to YouTube, scheduling the release to coincide with Ethan's closing drop, her heart racing with anticipation. On stage, Ethan was in his element, his hands flying over the mixer, the crowd screaming as he layered a vocal sample into a soaring beat. Alyssa filmed, her camera catching his grin, the sweat on his brow, the festival's electric vibe. David stood beside her, his eyes bright with pride. "He's got it," he said, his voice barely audible over the music. Alyssa nodded, narrating, "Ethan's owning SXSW, and our vlog's about to drop. This is our moment." The crowd's energy was infectious, and Alyssa felt a fire in her chest. Her vlog wasn't just a video. It was a weapon, a story of resilience that could inspire thousands. Back at the airport, Beverly Hamilton was a fading shadow. After her lounge outburst, she'd retreated to a hotel, her ex-rant buried under a flood of memes and criticism. StarJet had banned her from future flights, her platinum elite status revoked, her name now synonymous with #StarJetKaren. Alyssa didn't know it yet, but news outlets were picking up the story, with headlines like "Vlogger exposes airline bias" and "StarJet faces backlash over passenger dispute." Her vlog, still minutes from release, was already reshaping the narrative, turning her and Ethan into symbols of standing up to power. As Ethan's set neared its climax, Alyssa checked her phone. YouTube was ready, the vlog queued to go live. The crowd chanted DJ Carter as Ethan built to his final drop, a thundering bass line that shook the stage. Alyssa hit publish, her vlog launching into the world as the beat exploded, the crowd erupting in screams. She filmed the moment, her lens capturing Ethan's triumphant fist pump, the sea of glowing phones, and David's proud clap. "The vlog's live," she narrated, her voice trembling with excitement. "AlyssaAdventures just dropped the truth, and South by Southwest is feeling it." The set ended, and Ethan bounded off stage, sweaty and beaming, pulling Alyssa into a hug. "That was insane," he shouted, the crowd still roaring. David joined them, his grin wide. You owned it, Ethan. Both of you. Alyssa checked her phone. Her vlog was already racking up views. Comments flooding in. This is fire. Beverly got wrecked. StarJet better learn. She showed Ethan and David, who laughed, their triumph complete. We did it, Alyssa said, her camera capturing their joy. From a flight fight to a festival win, this is Alyssa's adventures. The night wasn't over. StarJet's CEO, Margaret Voss, had requested a meeting at the hotel, and Alyssa planned to film it, keeping the pressure on. As they left the venue, the festival pulsing around them, Alyssa's phone buzzed with a new email from a news outlet requesting an interview. She smiled, narrating one last time. South by Southwest, you've been epic. To everyone watching, speak your truth, fight for justice, and never back down. Like, share, subscribe. Alyssa's Adventures is just getting started. The camera clicked off, but Alyssa's fire burned bright. Her story a beacon for anyone who'd ever been told they didn't belong.